Ambassador Beth Van Schok, the top US official for global criminal justice, talking to me there. Well, the World Bank here in Washington held a meeting today with Ukraine's government on how to best help the people of Ukraine. And President Zelensky, who joined remotely, demanded that the world's financial institutions do more to isolate Russia economically.
We need immediately to exclude Russia from all international financial institutions, IMF, World Bank and others. Every country of the world must immediately prepare to break up all relations with Russia. No one should be dependent on the political whims of the leaders of that country.
Well, joining us now for analysis is the BBC's Nomia Iqbal. So, Nomia, President Zelensky has made a whole series of these really high-profile interventions, speaking to parliaments and congresses around the world. Now he's turning to financial institutions. How did the World Bank respond?
Yeah, it was a really direct message that he gave to them. So he wants them, World Bank and the IMF, to isolate Russia. He wants other countries to cut Russia off as well. And he upped the war bill. He basically told them that Ukraine needs at least $7 billion a month just to function, which is $2 billion more than what he had said before. Now, in terms of the response, the World Bank leader, David Malpass, has already said that the global community is facing this human catastrophe. And he has said today that the amount that Ukraine needs just for its infrastructure is $60 billion, at least $60 billion and rising. So huge amounts of money. We're not quite sure if he's going to get those demands met, but it was interesting. He ended his speech by saying to the leaders, the next time we meet, I hope it's in a Ukrainian city that's been rebuilt with your support.
Meanwhile, President Biden today announced another $800 million in military assistance to Ukraine. So how much is this now in total since the war began, and what are the Americans sending now?
So in terms of how much we're at now, since the invasion began, it's around about just over $3 billion, but it's $4 billion since President Biden came into office. So huge amounts of money. In terms of this package, it's similar to the $800 million military package they were sending last week. Slightly different because Mr. Biden said that the war that's being fought on the Eastern Front is different in nature due to the terrain that they are fighting on. So the weapons are a bit different. So they're sending heavy artillery weapons, ammunition, tactical drones. He also announced a new raft of sanctions. So any Russian ships or Russian-affiliated ships will not be allowed in the US at all. What's interesting is that he has nearly exhausted this drawdown authority that he gets from Congress in terms of how much money they can send to Ukraine. So basically, if he wants to send any more money, anything else, he has to get approval from Congress. And he knows that, and he said that in this speech today, that next week he will be asking Congress to approve more weapons, more ammunition. He wants to keep that flowing. And I think it'll be interesting to see what happens. The Republicans have become, I guess, that they're much more aggressive on Russia. They want Biden to be much more aggressive with Russia. So I think we can expect the pressure on President Biden to do more to really ramp up moving forward.
It's interesting that you say that, this rare outbreak of bipartisanship on one issue. But on this question of whether the US should actually do more and go further and commit troops to Ukraine, that's not really a live issue, is it?
That's not ever going to happen because it's not really, well, never say never, I guess, but Biden has always said that that is a red line, and that is largely to do with the fact there's no appetite amongst the American public. Polls consistently show that Americans want more to be done for Ukraine, but in terms of assistance, not troops on the ground. It's interesting to see what the Republicans want more of. They've had a break from former President Trump, who they still very much leads the party, who call Putin savvy and smart. Some of them want a no-fly zone. That's a red line for President Biden. Some of them want more specific fighter jets, which we've yet to see. But he will now, need to get more of that bipartisan support. And he said that he knows that in this speech today.
Nomia, thanks so much for being with us. Well, in other news now from around the world.